Hi guys, Synova here again for another week's discussion for the State Line Mob and the Dixie Mafia. For those of you that do not know who I am Synova Cantrell. I'm Southwest Missouri's #1 true crime writer and blogger. I work as a victims advocate for Missouri Missing Organization, where I highlight obscure cold cases that have kind of been forgotten by the media. I've also been asked to start generating some publicity around the Dixie Mafia cases. There's a series of cold cases that I've been working on for my blog, and I realized there's a lot of misconceptions about the Dixie Mafia, so I've been doing a Mobster Monday post every Monday about different characters in the Dixie Mafia cast. And so if you are interested in those kinds of things, if you'd like to read more information than what I can include in these videos, make sure and go over to synovainc.com and subscribe to my true crime newsletter. You get a whole bunch of content every week for free, and if you sign up for the newsletter, you get a free ebook called Grim Justice, and you'll get all kinds of extra content that's only available to my subscribers. So jump on over there and grab that freebie, and then if you like this video, make sure and like and subscribe here. It's a brand new YouTube channel that I'm trying to launch, so I don't have a whole lot of subscribers now, but together we can generate leads to solve these cases. And I'd like to get 1 million subscribers so I could get that fancy plaque to put up with all my true crime trophies and awards. So together we can make that happen. All right. So let's jump right in. This week I have titled the video "The State Line Mob versus Sheriff Buford Pusser." For those of you that don't know, the State Line Mob is actually the predecessor to the Dixie Mafia. They are the group of people that kind of started the whole ruckus around the state line between Mississippi and Tennessee. And then there was a giant push of law enforcement to kind of squash that effort, and in doing so there was just a handful of people left over, and they are what created what we know now as the Dixie Mafia. So it's all tied in together, and it goes back to this core group at the state line, and we are going to talk about basics that we're talking about is going to be Louise Hathcock. She is now the widow of Jack Hathcock, who she in turn murdered so she could run off with her boyfriend, the big-time hood Towhead White. But she got off scot-free as claiming self-defense. So anyways, we talked about that story in the last video, so if you would like to check that out, go up and find the video about Louise Hathcock. So we're going on. It is actually 2 years after the death of her husband, Jack Hathcock, and she is still running the Shamrock Hotel. She's making boatloads of money. They're running moonshine because it's a dry county, and drugs and guns and prostitution and the whole works. Well, Towhead White, for those of you that don't know, Towhead White was actually a thug, a career criminal that he had a specific goal in life. His goal in life was to be the Al Capone of the South. So you know someone who has that kind of goals in mind, what kind of person they are. Okay, so he didn't quite reach the status of Al Capone. Of course, he didn't have the funding or the corporation behind him, or he probably could have. He was ruthless enough to do that. But anyways, we're going to talk about what happened to Louise Hathcock. Now, for those of you that don't remember or haven't seen the video about her, Louise Hathcock was a murderer herself. She liked to lure people into her hotel, and then they would rob them. And if they kicked up too much of a fuss, her and her thugs would have them tied up in chains and cinder blocks and dumped into the river out behind the Shamrock Hotel. She was not a very nice lady. She's known to beat people to death with ball peen hammers. And so, I mean, she wasn't, some little sweet, innocent little lady that accidentally got killed. Okay, so this is the story of her. She's 46 years old. It is now February 1st, 1966. It's almost a full 2 years after she murdered her husband in the same motel. Okay. She got off because she claimed that it was self-defense. And she had already bought off most of the law enforcement and the judges and that sort of thing. So she got off on that. I don't even know that there was any formal charges placed on her. So, anyways, going on with the story, if you see me looking down, it's because I have my notes here on my phone, so I'm trying to keep track of everything, make sure I don't forget any details. But February 1st, 1966, we're hauling it up to the Shamrock Motel on the border of Mississippi and Tennessee. That's where all this is going to take place. The sheriff gets a phone call. We're talking about Sheriff Buford Pusser. Buford Pusser, excuse me. If I had a name like that, I would change it. I'm sorry. But anyways, his name was Sheriff Buford Pusser. And some people have tried to claim that he pronounced it Pusser. But whatever the case, it's a crazy name. But Sheriff Buford Pusser, he is the sheriff, legendary sheriff that they created the movies Walking Tall about. So, I mean, he was a big legend even in his own time. He was a former wrestler. They called him Buford the Bull. He's 6'6" tall, 200 and some odd pounds. And for a long time, he never even carried a weapon because he had the brawn and the mass. He was going to take somebody down if they attacked him. Well, he ended up getting attacked and stabbed 7 times and left for dead. But he survived, and he decided after that, despite what Hollywood claims, he did carry a weapon. Well, one of these cases, he gets a phone call that there's a warrant out for Louise Hathcock's arrest. Okay, now the thing is they had so many complaints about the Shamrock Hotel, but nothing would stick. It didn't matter what happened out there, who got murdered, who got robbed, who got stabbed, who was raped, who was prostituted. It didn't matter. It seemed like nothing could stick to these people. So they were bad news. And unless you were on the criminal element side, a lot of people in the community were like, good riddance. If somebody in that group got arrested, they're like, so be it, and even at one point, we'll talk about in a video upcoming, when Towhead White was murdered, there are documented people saying good riddance, actual those 2 words. So they caused so much trouble that when Sheriff got this warrant and he was going to serve them to Louise, he expected a fight. And so, but he was going to go in unarmed. He went with his deputies Jim Moffitt and P.D. Plunk. Now, Jim Moffitt is quoted as saying that Buford was on his way to the Shamrock Hotel without a weapon. It was in his trunk. It was in his glove box of his car. And I believe it was Moffitt that said he told Buford, you know how Louise is, you might ought to strap it on. And so he strapped on his gun. And so that was where the whole point in history changed, because if he hadn't had a weapon, he most likely would have been the one that died that day. So anyways, he goes in to serve this warrant. A couple from out of town had been robbed of all their goods, and they had filed a complaint. And so a warrant was issued for the arrest of Louise Hathcock. So Buford Pusser goes in and with his 2 deputies, and all 3 deputies agree. All 3 lawmen agree that Louise Hathcock was drunk off her head. I mean, absolutely as drunk as you can be, basically, without passing out. She was out of it. Well, there was the restaurant side and then the motel side. And Louise actually lived in, I believe, apartment 1 of the motel side. And so for some reason she told Buford, when he came in to serve the warrant, she didn't want to talk there in the uh, you know in the open area of the restaurant. She's like, step over to my place and we'll talk about this. Well, Buford stepped over there. Well, his 2 deputies were still in the restaurant for a few moments. So in that hotel room, no one knows 100% what happened. But within moments, shots were fired. Louise Hathcock was dead. And this is what the story come out. Buford Pusser walks in there. She walks in before him. He walks in behind her. The way it works is she turned around. She had picked up her gun off of something. If it was, I don't know if it was off of her dresser or if it was actually in her apron. I don't know, but she picked up a gun and she swung around and pointed it at the sheriff. The sheriff ducked down and dropped onto her bed as she shot. Okay. He shot back at her within a second or so of that shot and shot twice. Okay. And she had shot again, and it had, in that meantime, her gun had jammed. Okay. So he actually shot her and it went through, it spun her around, and the second shot went through the back. Okay. So it was like shot, bang, and then shot right again. So it all happened within seconds of each other. Well, uh, Buford hollers for his deputies, and they come running as soon as they hear the shots. They come running. They find Louise Hathcock dying on the floor. They find Buford Pusser on the bed, and he's like, "We need help." He knew that there was going to be a fight. He honestly thought Towhead and maybe not Towhead because Towhead was in jail, but he thought Louise Hathcock's crew were at the motel, and he was thinking that they were going to have to shoot their way out of the motel. So one deputy was off on the phone, and then they were preparing a gun battle to get out of this place. Well, luckily for the law enforcement, there wasn't anyone there. The medics came, took Louise Hathcock away. She did die from her injuries. And then, of course, an inquest was made because, anytime a lawman kills a civilian, there needs to be an inquest to make sure that this wasn't murder and that it was, legitimate self-defense. Well, they found the bullets. They found the bullet holes where she had shot, and since she was so out of it, I mean, she had shot and it had just gone way off. But there's always that rumor that Pusser was wanting to take her out, and so there was that rumor that had to be squashed from the beginning. And so they called a grand jury. They went over the facts. They went over the bullet's trajectory. They went over the fact that she was shot and spun and shot. And so they came unanimous. Sheriff Pusser acted in self-defense. There was no charges brought. It was all dropped by law enforcement, and anybody on the right side of the law took it on the shoulder and said, "It's done. It's over with. She shot first. It's all said and done." But there was one problem with this. Buford Pusser had a mortal enemy in Towhead White. Towhead White hated Buford Pusser with a hatred only, that is almost unthinkable. Those two men were after each other constantly. And so this is where some of the rumors come to that Buford may have been a little bit corrupt himself. I don't know. I haven't been able to find definite proof of that. I have found a few people that said he was, but they were related to the criminals. So I haven't been able to see anyone on the right side of the law that says he was corrupt. So I don't know. He could have been, but he made he may have saved his own life on February 1st, 1966, but he sparked a war with that killing that would go on for years and would take the life of his own wife. And so next time, my next video, I'm going to go into the ambush of Sheriff Pusser and his wife, how his wife was killed. I'm going to talk a little bit about some little known facts about some people involved in that, and how other people got killed because of that. And so next week's going to be all about the ambush on New Hope Road. In the meantime, jump over to my blog, sign up, get your free ebook, get your free newsletter each week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel and help me share it to everyone, so we can build this up. I'd like to get 1 million subscribers. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.